mind.
In 4th grade, you were worried about making it to 5th?
Yeah.
I fell in love with these kids, so I made them a promise. I told them that if they graduated from high school, I would pay for their college education. I've made some empty promises in my life, but hands down, that was the most generous.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride it, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look like he wanna fight, he ain't doing nothing but running his mouth. Talk about it, we all about it. They making plans, we sit and count. Our chairs stacked just like a mountain. You heard about it, she running.
There was a bizarro world, a alternate universe, where the Green Bay Packers might have been on Hard Knocks this year. Gabe Neitzel, remind me what the stipulations are for being on Hard Knocks. There's like a coaching thing. There's like a losing record. There's a bunch of stuff that like can triangulate to get a team on Hard Knocks.
So if you have missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, and you have not, and you don't have a brand new head coach, you can be forced to do Hard Knocks. So again, it's a tight window of teams because typically when you miss playoffs, you end up firing coaches. But the Packers weren't going to fire Matt LaFleur. So if they would have lost that game to the Bears last year, missed out on the playoffs, I'm pretty confident the Packers would have been on Hard Knocks just because
They
they're
might have fired him.
a popular team.
Wait, they would have fired him just to not be on
Yeah.
Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
That feels aggressive.
Well, very.
Feels overreactionary.
Yes. Got to protect the brand, though.
Do you? So I think that's what we want to talk about this morning because there is a sentiment. There are teams out there that don't like Hard Knocks, right? It feels like every time the rotation rolls up and they're about to, they're spinning the roulette wheel and it's about to land on somebody, all of the faces come out and say, like, we would prefer not to. I believe even the team that we are about to discuss at one point said we would prefer not to, and that is the Chicago Bears. Yesterday it was announced that the Chicago Bears will, in fact, be the subject of Hard Knocks for the upcoming season. It will get underway, filming probably right up immediately, like right now, and then it will air in August, as it does every single year. And I'm thinking, guys, Hard Knocks isn't as bad as everybody would make it out to be. I mean, just look at what Hard Knocks did for the New York Jets last year with Aaron Rodgers. Look what it has done for the Detroit Lions. Go back, Berman, to when Rex Ryan was on Hard Knocks. And he does the let's go get a GD snack. Come on.
What do you mean, come on?
It's not as bad, but the show's not as good. Used to be so much better.
Why do you think that is?
Because he thinks everything that happened in the past by default is better than anything happening right now.
No, it's so scripted and fake. It's like these reality shows now. It's like
those are all scripted.
Yeah.
Fake.
They used to be good. Now they're stupid. Like they're just like they're not watchable. It's like,
is Yukon Gold not scripted?
That's a good one.
What about Ice Road Truckers?
But you didn't answer the question about it being scripted or not.
What was I watching? Like now I love Axemen. Great show. Very good. But now they get scripted and it's like, you're not an actor. You're stupid. This is dumb. And I can't watch. It's got to be real.
Or you're out.
Right?
I feel like you might be in the minority on
Like
this one
Skanks.
regarding.
Skanks. How does anyone watch
Can we
that
please?
garbage?
What?
This is your fault.
Come on.
You don't know what Skanks is?
Why do you keep saying
Stop
it?
saying it.
You cannot.
No.
This is bullshit.
Just so you know, every time you talk about that show
I
and
thought
you
it's
call
because
it
you didn't
that
know
name,
why I call it that.
No, we know why.
That's
I'm
not one of the
familiar with
7 words. I live by the 7 words.
We've been over this.
Okay,
the
Carlin.
the 7 words, George Carlin, was a bit.
Oh, it was?
It was a comedic bit.
So is there a way I could use that word on the radio?
No.
At all?
And for your case, no. You have not earned the privilege of finding the right situation to use the word.
It's so descriptive, though.
No, it's not.
Why can't you just say housewives? Everyone knows housewives.
I didn't know what
It's
you were
like,
talking
it's
about.
a universal, worldwide brand.
People loved the word zizzle.
Yeah.
To the point where they're using it now.
Correct. He was great.
You understand the
Real
difference.
housewives of whatever county I condensed it to one word, and it's so much better.
Sure, but you didn't create. So you created the word zizzle. It's on the Chewy words along with glurge, negativity,
Yes.
and callbackable. These are the words that you have created. The word that you previously said to describe housewives, you did not invent. That is a word that exists, and you cannot say.
Like I thought of another one today, you know?
Give it to me. These are made up words.
Has you earned it?
Made up words?
And I say it.
You just rattled
to
off that
Ange all
list.
the
Those are
time.
so
when
good.
It's, time, at night and you want to go. You just call it a Woodrow Wilson. Another great one. Coded. Remember we had the discussion with our boss?
Yes.
He said the code thing.
Correct.
That is very coded.
Do you remember the conversation
I
with
do.
our boss?
It's amazing that you're recalling this conversation and still said the word you said
Moments
before.
prior.
3 times.
But
3
that's
times in a
coded.
row.
No.
That word is
Listen,
fine.
if you come up with another word for that show that we think is clever and we can use on the radio, we will
Spell it backwards.
adopt.
I don't have a pen.
Here
You
you
need
go,
a
bud.
pen to spell. It's got 5 letters. 6 if
the
you add
only-
the S.
It
was
was
gonna say.
Glamour Thursday. Cut me a break here, okay?
He's still getting his legs underneath him.
Actually,
He didn't have a blammer
it's
for
almost a
Thursdays.
palindrome.
It's very close.
Very close.
Very close to a palindrome.
I don't have the strength today. Who do we got coming?
You just have to invert. You just have to switch the 2 middle letters, buddy. The 2 middle, the A and the N.
And then you got what?
Well, I don't know.
It's not a word because there's not enough.
It's almost like snacks, though.
Yeah,
Does it give you snakes? You want to call it snakes?
Let's call it snacks. Mine's so much better, though.
It is, but you can't say it on the radio. So by default, it's not.
Did
Can we
you
get
know
back
that?
to Hard
Did you know
Knocks,
that,
please?
though? That
Did
you
I-
can't say that on the radio.
Yes, because I've been present for this conversation other times. Now, to Gabe's defense, that doesn't always mean the message sticks.
Why I got a little nervous when she brought up Rex Ryan earlier.
GD snack. Oh, ooh, wow, full circle. Anyway, Hard Knocks is good for business. Hard Knocks is going to be good for business for the Chicago Bears. I am a little nervous that all the hype that is already surrounding this Bears team, it's going to be ratcheted way up with Hard Knocks airing this fall, and Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze and Keenan Allen and all of the weapons that they have, to say nothing of all of the other things that the Bears have done over the last few years, Joshy.
Yeah, I think every team just comes out looking like roses. I mean, NFL Films does nothing better than a montage scene with some cool music behind it and guys looking like guys. You fall in love with guys that are not like fringe roster guys and think they're great, and by the end of the show, they're not on the team. So to see Roma Dunze, Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore catching passes, because they're not gonna show Caleb Williams struggling. They're gonna show the completions. They're gonna show back and forth between the offense and defense, but it's gonna be the Caleb Williams show. His star's gonna rise. The offense is.
They're not going to show Tua Tagovailoa underthrowing one of his receivers, screeching like the Miami Dolphins
Correct.
social team did a few years back.
Right, and there's already like
Jen's Miami Dolphins.
Alex Strofe, KBM Mr. Relevant. He's like become a Bears fan almost. He's so scared of them. And I think by the time it's done, everyone in Packer world is going to be like, oh my God, the Packers are the 3rd best team in the division.
Just think about what Hard Knocks did for Dan Campbell. Like when he got hired in Detroit, like he was a laughingstock.
Biting kneecaps.
Yeah, and he was Man Campbell. Like he was this dumb meathead jock who had gotten this interim job down in Miami. It's like if Chewy was a head coach.
Yeah.
But Hard Knocks did a lot of great things for him. Like if you watched Hard Knocks, like you walked away from that Lions season going, wait, do I like Dan Campbell now?
That's what I said. Do I like the Lions now? Am I a Lions fan now? Am I rooting for the Lions to have success now? Yes, that's what. And it's kind of like what we do on College Game Day, Chew, with the features that I do. We go into every story saying, how can we convince rival fan bases, people that have no reason to root for this kid, this coach, this team, and make them want them to have success? And that's what Hard Knocks does for these teams.
But that's what you get when a team buys into a coach.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we bought into Holmgren right away. He was mean. We didn't really like him all the time, but we knew it was the best thing for us. And then you go to Ray Rhodes, it's like, yeah, this is fun. We're having fun, but we suck. You know? Guys don't want to suck. Well, some guys want to suck because all they care about is collecting a check. But for the most part,
They
you're
don't
like,
want to
I
suck.
wanna
They
win.
just don't mind sucking.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
They
And-
tolerate it.
I mean, teams will expose themselves. Like when the Browns season from 2018, like even NFL Films couldn't gussy that up to make that team look functional because I just remember. I mean, the star of that show was their big offensive lineman, who his gut would move up every time.
So good.
But also like their offensive defensive coordinator yelling at each other during practice. Like you couldn't save that.
Also, J.J. Watt came away looking really bad because he was finding the camera at every instance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's rehabbed his image, but that was probably the low point for him when the Texans were on there.
Just trying too hard in that environment,
The
right?
best was the Colts corner that just passed away when he was sitting there and he just got traded and he said, "Can I call my grandmother right now?"
That was the
Vontae Davis.
Yeah, he was traded from the Dolphins. Went on to have a good career, but yes, that was tough to watch.
That was a weird response. Yeah. Yes, my favorite one was Miami.
I thought they'd gotten away from that stuff. By the way, just as an aside,
The Jets
I think that
banned it. They said they wouldn't do it.
We'll do what?
Showing guys getting cut.
That's so stupid. That is the dumb. There you go. There's fake. There's. It's so dumb. People don't drink this Kool-Aid. The GM doesn't cut people.
Also,
okay, he doesn't. He made a 13-year vet. He may do him the courtesy of like, man, thanks, just didn't work out. He's not cutting Joe Schlunk, the 43rd draft pick. For 43rd round draft pick. That's not how it works.
Also,
that is for TV.
43 rounds, yes. We're well aware that the draft doesn't go 43 rounds.
Do you remember Aaron Rodgers last season getting out ahead of stuff that was going to air on because he was tipped off of what was going to be shown? And then he went out on, I believe it was McAfee, and was saying, like, I'm going to look bad in this instance, but it's not what it's made out to be. Like, the show has definitely changed. Like, the cut stuff, as hard as it was to watch, that was the intrigue. The guys at the end of the roster who are like, I have nothing. I'm living in a small apartment, and this is my whole life. Those are the stories we all care about.
So let me just pull back the curtain again from a storytelling standpoint, because this is obviously what we do on College Game Day all the time and on SC Featured and on E60. We give zero editorial control to the subjects. Some people will say, can we see the piece before it airs? Absolutely not. We just can't. I'm sorry, standard operating procedure. I don't love that Hard Knocks, at least recently, has allowed editorial control, has allowed the Jets, for example, and I think Aaron Rodgers, if I had to guess who was pulling the strings there, to make decisions about what is airing. I don't love so I don't know that will extend to the Chicago Bears. I think that was probably an Aaron Rodgers exclusive rule if I had to guess. But I don't love the idea that the Bears could go to Matt Eberflus could go to the Hard Knocks people and say, I don't want X, Y, and Z on your show, because that, to Chewy's point, is what takes the realness out of it.
You think Aaron wasn't initially granted that and then they just wore him down?
Wasn't initially. Oh, yeah. Aaron wore them down.
Yeah.
Because
like they're like,
wanted,
Aaron, we don't typically do that.
Well, because I'm sure it was a quid pro quo. It was, you want this shot of me getting my ankles taped, or you want this shot of me, you want the drone following me onto the field? Guess what? It's going to cost you.
But I'm sure they say, no, you can't have a camera in there, or you can't have a camera in there.
Sure.
I'm sure they have that kind of control.
Yeah, because there's certain things you don't want to be shown. Yes, they do have
like,
some
why
of that
do they
control.
show the training room? Because usually that is like
I don't
off
think so.
limits.
Yeah,
that's
they'll
off
show guys
limits.
like in a tub or something if they know it's like way after practice and it's two guys.
Yeah, two guys just in a cold tub.
Yucking it up, shooting the breeze. What a convenient place for us to have this conversation in the ice bath. So I guess the question then is, Green Bay Packers are insatiable for Green Bay Packers news. It's why there are umpteenth podcasts about the Green Bay Packers. It's why you'll read every single article that is out there, and maybe except for that one site, which we have determined is not reliable or credible when it comes to Packers news. But so I think Packers fans would actually eat it up, even if they thought that, we don't want the world in on what's going on there. We want to protect the sanctity of Lambeau Field. We don't need the extra attention because we're still one of the most popular teams in the world in the NFL. I still think Packers would eat up their team being on Hard Knocks. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. 1,000%. Packers fans would tune in, watch that bad boy live. They could put that thing on at 11 p.m. Central, and a bunch of people are diving in live because they want to see it right as it comes.
And live streaming reaction to it. There's an alt-cast to the Hard Knocks for the Packers fans.
How many teams have not been on Hard Knocks? Is there a lot?
Quite a bit.
Because is this going to be like Brazil, where, hey, we don't want to go. You're going.
I mean,
are they going to change the rules with Hard Knocks to say, all right?
I doubt it. I mean, it seemed like kind of going back to 2021 when the Cowboys ended up on it for the second or third time, I can't remember. They were having trouble. It doesn't seem like they've been having trouble getting teams to agree as of late.
Last year, I know the problem was they said the Jets are it, and the Jets fought it tooth and nail. Is basically the issue, but they ended up losing it because that's part of the deal.
You want to get paid the money. Guess where a lot of this money in the NFL comes from? Media rights deals like the ones they cut with HBO.
Packers fans, will you watch Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears? And I suppose there are a lot of people out there who already watch the show pretty religiously, although I think the numbers had gone down. At one point, Gabe, we had tried to track what the audience was per year. I believe they went back up last year just because of all of the intrigue that was surrounding the New York Jets, but I could be wrong on that. Will you watch Hard Knocks and watch the rival Chicago Bears as the rest of the NFL world kind of wraps their arms around them? And we're just saying this is what happens every year. All of a sudden, there's a whole new sect of people who want the team that is featured on Hard Knocks to have success. Hard Knocks is, whether you want to believe it or not, good for business. Will you watch the Chicago Bears on Hard Knocks this season? We got a very busy day here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. We've got Jason Wilde coming up next, followed by Craig Caresin. Stick around. We roll on right after this.
X-Golf.
Jen.
X-Golf at American Family Field is the place to go hang out during a Brewers game. It's a great place that I go hang out on non-game days, but new this year, you can book your sim time and purchase your single game tickets all in the same spot, just at that Brewers single game tickets website. You can get great food and beverage options, views of Bernie Slide, and more. They've got some great ticket packages available, so make sure you check that out. Also, if you're hanging out at X-Golf American Family Field, whether it's a game day or not, if you're playing a regular round of golf and you make a hole-in-one, you make an ace, you and somebody else get to go down Bernie's Slide. What a hole-in-one contest going on right now at X-Golf at American Family Field. Find out more, xgolfamfamfield.com.
Never miss out on a second of the show. Find Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand. Sponsored by Celsius Essential Energy Drink.
Well, looks like we got a broken down vehicle in traffic, 894 eastbound, right about at 68th Street. The left lane is blocked right now, and that's slowing things down just a bit through that area. We've also got an accident on 4394 southbound, just south of Beecher Street. We got cars off on the shoulders there. The only other heavy spot really is going to be on northbound 43 from Locust up past Keith. Traffic is brought to you by the Club at Lac La Belle. The historic course is open to the public 7 days a week. Schedule your tee time at clubatlaclabelle.com. And check out the TMJ for Storm Team forecast today. Mostly sunny with some high clouds filtering the sunshine. A high of 74 at the lake, 78 inland. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 57. Weather is brought to you by the Golden Mast Inn Business Showcase. Check out their event space during a complimentary open house on Monday, June 3rd from 4 until 7. Register at goldenmastin.com. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
What are we doing today?
One of the employee owners has an idea.
Who is it?
Casey Goodson.
Well, hi, you must be Casey Goodson.
That's me. Casey has been with Kessler's for 22 years and became an owner 12 years ago.
We're excited to hear your idea, Casey.
I call it the One Collection.
But we've had special collections in the past.
What are you saying?
Casey, I think Rick is saying that this can't be the one collection because we've offered special collections in the past.
I'm not saying it's the first collection. It's a special collection of engagement rings for the woman that you know is the one. The one for you. The one forever.
What's in it?
Incredibly special rings for incredibly special women.
How much?
Most of them are between $725 and $2,800.
I like it.
I like it.
Me too.
When you have found the one, you'll find her ring waiting patiently for you to come and pick it up at Kessler's.
For the location of the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more OSB sheathing. And there's more. Save 10% on select James Hardie products when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Spring fishing is finally here, and Fleet Farm has everything you need to reel in more fish this year. Upgrade your gear with the best brands like Rapala, Berkeley, and St. Croix. Find exclusive flicker sheds you won't find anywhere else, starting at $12.99. Get rod and reel combos starting at only $24.99. And shop our wide selection of fishing line that starts at just $4.99. Land top fishing gear and everything else you need for everyday life at Fleet Farm.
Ready, down, put.
All Packers, all the time.
He was a field tilting player, and the reason why Gabe and many others are so concerned is that this guy's on the field, he changes the offensive dynamic. They are a different offense when he is there.
Okay, most of the time.
You know, Homer calls Matt LaFleur soft all the time. Matt LaFleur is like Vince Lombardi compared to me.
It's Jason Wilde on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
We're putting it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll. Go ahead and weigh in on this. Will you watch the Bears on Hard Knocks this fall? Dave weighing in saying, I will not subscribe to anything Chicago Bears aside from Green Bay trucking them on the field. The Packers should have a documentary on beating the Bears' brains in for the last decade, though. That would never get old and have a lot of viewers. Jason, good morning. How are you doing today?
I've sold the wrong guy for this topic.
Do you watch Hard Knocks?
I love Hard Knocks.
Really?
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah.
But as a storyteller by trade, I always think it's good to see the way that they develop the segments and develop the stories as the season goes on. So it's more of like film study for me. It's really what we're getting at here, Jason.
Yeah, and for me, and obviously Chewy knows this. Like my job is to try and tell our listeners, our readers, our fans, the stories that you can't get just from watching the game. At least that's how I've always perceived my role. And so, I do that by covering players like Chewy and Tausch and telling stories based on those conversations. But, what Hard Knocks gets, because it's a league-sanctioned endeavor, is all the behind-the-scenes stuff that I never get to see. Like, in 2003 or 4, I was able to sit in the offensive line meeting room because I was doing a piece on the not just how good that group was, which I would argue rivaled the Lombardi era offensive line, but also the dynamic of them. And it remains probably my favorite story, to be in there and actually be able to experience, not only observing, but them turning on me, the grief that they give each other, the camaraderie that was there. And that's what we get with Hard Knocks, right? Like, we talked with Anthony Campanile, the Packers' new linebackers coach, and he obviously had that very memorable speech to his guys in season, the Hard Knocks in season edition with the Dolphins last year. Now, that's not a completely accurate depiction of how he coaches, but it certainly captured how fiery he is. But that's the kind of stuff that I am most interested in large part because I don't have unfettered access to it. I'm sure had I gone to work for the Packers, I would have gotten fired because I would have never been able to work under those conditions. But it would have been great to have that kind of access and tell those kind of stories. So I'm all in on Hard Knocks, especially now with the Bears. But listening to Dave's text, again, I've gotten a lot of grief for this, but I don't want to see the Packers keep beating their brains in. I don't want Matt LaFleur to be undefeated against the Bears. I just don't think that's that interesting to me. So I hope Caleb Williams is really good, and I hope Jordan Love versus Caleb Williams is the 2020s to 2030s version of Brady and Manning, that there's a rivalry. And if you're a Packers fan, you certainly hope Jordan Love is the Brady part of that. But I think seeing the Bears and the Packers both be good at the same time would be freaking awesome. And we'll see if that actually occurs.
Jason, who was the O-line coach?
Can't be.
Oh, God.
Your former teammate.
Yeah.
Now, why do you say that?
Because he thought he had a great body. His body was hideous, and he always walked around the locker room naked.
Oh, thank you for that.
Everyone was clothed in the meeting room.
Was he? I mean, he's a piece of work, right, Jason?
Look, it's been really fun because I've gotten to cover. You know how offensive line coaches are. So we had Larry Bechtel.
Larry's, yeah. Go ahead.
And R.I.P. to Larry.
Yes.
And Campy, and now it's Luke Butkus, but before that it was Steno, and so it's usually the offensive line coaches and the special teams coordinators that are your colorful guys.
Yeah.
And that's probably been the case for the majority of my time covering the team.
So, quick story about Campy. Jason, remember how they used to feed us in the locker room, right? They'd feed us way back in the day. They'd feed us in the locker room.
Catering in on Friday.
So Campy would just always walk around and dude, just put a towel on. We're eating, right? So one time he takes a brownie, unbeknownst to everyone, rolls it up, sticks it between his butt cheeks, and then starts running. Remember where the old shower was, Jason? You got to go all the way across the locker room, and it was wide open. And he's like,
I do.
Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. And he drops it right in front of, I think, the receivers, grabs it, takes a bite of it, and the whole locker room just explodes with, I don't know if it was laughter or disgust.
Probably a combination of both.
He was born to be an O-line coach, yeah. And Jason's right. They're all left of center or right of center. They're whacked. So
off center for sure.
Jason, did Tucker Kraft have his surgery yet?
Yes. Yeah, he had. Now he's behind the LaFleur Zach Tom schedule. They both tore their pectoral in early to mid-April. So we talked to Tucker last week. So that was the previous OTA. So that would have been like May 21st, 22nd, something like that. And he had said he'd had surgery 10 days earlier. So somewhere around May 12th, he had his surgery.
Okay. And it's 8 to 12?
Well, that's what they say. But, again, I go back to what Bulaga said when I broke the news to him that Zach Tom had torn his pec. That's great that's the timeline they give for you being able to return. But for an offensive lineman and for a tight end who both do blocking and the amount of pushing you do with force against 300-pound dudes, that ain't the injury you want to be coming back from during training camp. So, and I will admit, it did sound to me like an aggressive, optimistic timeline. Now, if Zach Tom, or Tucker Kraft for that matter, but if Zach Tom's not ready for the opener on September 6th in Brazil, you're going into your first game without your, I would argue, second best offensive lineman behind Elton Jenkins and a guy who's, moving into the top tier of right tackles. And so, I think it's interesting, and this was a guy that I was hoping to talk to the other day when we had access, and I didn't get him. I think that's probably why they signed Andre Dillard. If you remember, they signed him in mid-April, and I'm guessing they signed a guy who has started games as a former first-round pick, hasn't really found a rhythm with the Eagles or with Tennessee previously in his career. I think they signed him thinking, all right, we better have somebody that really can start at right tackle if Tom's not ready because, Jordan Morgan is a first-round pick. Certainly he'd be an option, but maybe they're not so sure that he'll be ready right away to start as a rookie in the very first game. They've got Royce Newman still on the roster who started a lot of games, but I get the sense that they would prefer not to have to start Royce Newman at all. So it'll be interesting to see what they do if Tom's not ready. If he's ready, then they've got some depth and they feel pretty good about what their options are if something happens in season.
Jason, we appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a good one.
All right, everybody, take care. Be good.
He's Jason Wilde. Wilde and Tausch is on right after Jen, Gabe, and Chewy each and every morning here on ESPN Milwaukee. We've got Craig Caresin coming up next. Want to talk to him about the Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, they just won 3 out of 4 against the Chicago Cubs. But there was an interesting statement by Jeff Passan yesterday that got our eyebrows up. We'll talk to Craig about that right after this.
Guys, I'm telling you, of course, the only place to go if you're making those plans to propose to that special someone in your life, the only place to go for that diamond engagement ring is the Jewelry Center. Best place to shop for diamond engagement rings, of course. That's where I went when I proposed to my wife. I kind of had an idea. The team at the Jewelry Center pointed me in the right direction to get that perfect ring. Maybe you don't have an idea. Go to a Pinterest board. See if there's anything there. Bring those ideas into the Jewelry Center, and that great team is never going to do you wrong. They're going to make sure that you're pointed in the right direction. And the other great thing about the Jewelry Center, the options that they have. Whether you're looking for naturally mined diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, whatever you're in the market for when it comes to that engagement ring, the Jewelry Center has it. Check out the inventory at any one of their 3 locations, Greenfield, Brookfield, or in Burlington. I prefer the Greenfield store. Other one's fantastic as well. Or shop online, shoptjc.com, and make sure when you head over to the Jewelry Center, you tell them that Gabe and Chew sent you.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN.
We do still have some delays along eastbound 894, right about at 68th Street. The left lane is blocked with a broken down vehicle. Things are starting to slow down back towards the Hale interchange. Westbound 894, construction delays from 27th Street to 68th. Northbound 43, a little bit tight from about Locust up past Keefe, but overall we're looking actually pretty good. Traffic is brought to you by 2 Men in a Junk Truck. Have unwanted clutter or junk? Go to 2meninajuncktruck.com for a free, no obligation estimate. Keep what you love, ditch what you don't. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today, mostly sunny with some high clouds to filter the sunshine. A high of 74 at the lakefront, 78 inland. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 57. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Baseball, grilling, festivals, tan lines, and Saz's. Summer in Wisconsin is the finest, and Saz's Statehouse is the place to be. They've been a Milwaukee staple for almost 50 years, so they know a thing or two about summer fun. Enjoy handcrafted cocktails, festival-famous combo platters on Saz's outdoor patio, or cool off with your friends at their famous round bar. Saz's complimentary shuttles are ready to take you to games and concerts at AmFam Field. Get details at Saz's.com, located at 55th and State. See you at Saz's.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos. Fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
We all know breakfast is an important part of your day, but sometimes when you're traveling for business, you end up staying at a hotel that doesn't offer any. You know what happens? You grab a cup of coffee and skip the meal entirely. We've all been there. But if you book a room at La Quinta by Wyndham, you can enjoy their free Bright Side breakfast featuring delicious baked goods, fruit, eggs, yogurt, and waffles. And really, who doesn't want to start their day with a fresh hot waffle? Tonight, La Quinta, tomorrow you shine. Book direct at lq.com.
Hey, it's Kyle Walsh for the Bath Authority, and if your bath or shower is old, outdated, has mold and mildew, or broken tiles, you gotta call my friends at the Bath Authority. All Bath Authority products are 100% made in the USA and can be installed in as little as 1 day by a certified factory technician. Elevate your bathroom to a new level of luxury, style, and safety by scheduling your free in-home estimate and getting $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions do apply. The Bath Authority.com.
It's Friday, and that means it's time to check in with GKB President Craig Caresin.
I am so impressed with Jordan Love, and I think Packers fans should feel so good about Jordan Love.
Fridays with Mo.
I think Rodgers never spoke out and was direct, and Giannis should be praised for being clear so that everyone knows, hey, Giannis told the organization what he wanted.
Craig Caresin on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody.
It's that time of the week. Every Friday we talk to Craig Caresin. Craig, how's your week going? How are you doing today?
It is fantastic because I get to talk to you all. And you're on time today.
Yeah, sort of.
Thanks for noticing.
Are we, though?
We are, yeah. I would say we're...
Kind of?
Yeah, but I mean... Craig, I've listened to your show on Sunday. I don't know if you can really talk to anybody about being on time.
Glass houses and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We got a lot of stuff we want to get to you today with you today, Craig. So let's get right to it. Jeff Passan was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and this was not Milwaukee Brewers specific, but it was Milwaukee Brewers adjacent. Take a listen to what Jeff Passan had to say about small market teams.
Anytime that somebody stays with a small market team for the entirety of his career, like, goodbye me. Not just goodbye me because I'm someone who grew up in Cleveland and lives in Kansas City now, but I understand the disparity in sports between the large market and the small market teams. And the fans in smaller markets sometimes feel like the big business of sports is conspiring against them. So when Bobby Witt Jr. went out and signed a 12-year, almost $300 million contract to remain with the Kansas City Royals this offseason. It's like, hey, by the way, these small market teams can pay guys. If they don't, it's just because they chose not to.
So, Craig, they were obviously talking about a different team. They were talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates and Paul Skeens, I believe. But it was interesting, and it raised our eyebrows. Do you agree that small market teams like Milwaukee can pay players like a Corbin Burns, like a Josh Hader, if they want to, they just choose not to?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Everyone has the decision to do it. I mean, look what the Milwaukee Bucks are doing. Bucks have the fourth highest payroll in the NBA this year, right? So it really is how you want to run your business. The Bucks have decided that a championship is more important than running a profitable business. And so the Bucks lose a lot of money every year. And I think the belief is that the equity value of the team is continuing to grow and that the most important thing is winning a championship. Whereas, and I think in the largest owners of the team, there's enough wealth where they're just like, we don't mind losing tens and tens of millions of dollars that we have to personally put back into the team every year to try to be successful. But most owners, even if they're billionaires, right, don't want to lose $100 million a year. But it's absolutely their choice if they want to run a team as a viable business that's sustainable, or if they're running it as kind of a hobby where they want to win and are willing to lose money because they feel like eventually they'll get it paid back when they sell the team.
So how should Brewers fans feel hearing that being said yesterday, and that is a reality? Because it feels like maybe there's a narrative out there of, like, again, like Passan said, Major League Baseball is conspiring against the small market teams because of the way that the structure is and the way that the salaries are. And a team like Milwaukee could never pay Corbin Burns. How should fans feel when they come to the realization that if Atanasio wanted to, he could keep some of these guys in Brewers uniforms?
Well, again, it is against the smaller market teams, right? So other larger market teams can pay guys and not have to lose $50 million a year. So I think what Mark Atanasio and his leadership team have proven is that you could put a super competitive team and a winning team out there every year that's as good as the teams that are paying double in payroll. So I think if you're a fan of the team, why do you want people to pay more just to pay more, right? And I think the Brewers, I mean, you got to trust what they're doing, right? I mean, the team's consistently winning. And I don't know how you could argue with their way of doing things.
But why is the loyalty card different from the players and managers to the franchises? Seems to me like franchises get a pass.
I mean, I agree, right? Like, I don't know why everyone's killing Craig Counsell for leaving the team, but no one like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you should have the right, especially when your contract's up, to go to another team. So, I mean, I think it's totally fair for a player or a coach or whatever to want to leave if a team's not going to pay them the same or treat them the same.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to be the, hey, I'm one of you guys. I know what it's like. I know what it takes. I know I'm one of you guys. And then you deuce, like, yeah, no, you're going to get booed when you return. That's just the way it works. Yeah, does Craig Counsell have the right to go and chase the money with the Chicago Cubs after his contract expires? Craig, absolutely.
He's not chasing the money. He's not chasing the money.
But he did.
But he didn't chase the money. But he could have had he could have had the same money from the Brewers. He could have had more money from the Mets. He could have. It's not chasing the money, and that's again. It's like we talked about with Hader. Like you could look at it as in a simplistic way, and you could try to fit it to your narrative, but he wasn't chasing the money. That's not why he left.
Yeah, and Dak Prescott doesn't play for the money either. When you leave and accept the highest contract in the history of any manager in the history of baseball, you chase the money a little bit, which again is fine. You want to be a legend at the bank, and multiple things can be true, Craig. Like Mark Attanasio can be cheap for not retaining Craig Counsell and coming to the table with a more reasonable offer before the contract expired. Absolutely, there's blame to be on that side. But also, like to your point, Chewy, of why do franchises get a pass? Because the franchise isn't going anywhere. Like if I'm a Brewers fan or I'm a Bucks fan, like my loyalty is to that team because that's the team I'm always going to be rooting for. I mean, yes, some people have changed and root for players more than franchises at this point, but like as long as the Brewers are playing at that ballpark, as long as the Bucks are playing at Fiserv Forum, like I'm not going anywhere. I got to root for that team. I got to change, whatever narrative I'm going to spin because that's my favorite team and I want to root for them.
No, I get it.
And I'm not saying don't boo Craig Counsell, manager of the Cubs. I'm just saying when the video plays, cheer him one time for everything he did. And then you can move on, and he's the manager of the Cubs, and then you can go to start booing him.
Oh, so we think that it was a calculated decision by the Milwaukee Brewers to play that video because it would appear as though they were offering a moment for you to cheer Craig Counsell, and then you could boo him the rest of the series. But in reality, it was a concerted effort. It provided a perfect opportunity for the entire stadium that day to come together and boo. Right? Like, as opposed to waiting for there to be a pitching change or waiting for there to be an opportunity and then kind of all getting on the same page. It was like, here you go, silver platter. We are taking whatever it was, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute to feature Craig Counsell so that the stadium could come together and boo him. We think it was calculated.
I think it took a lot. Mark Attanasio grew up in the Bronx. Mark Attanasio is a street fighter. Mark Attanasio has, grinded to get everywhere he's gotten in his career. Mark Attanasio doesn't like to back down, especially when it's someone who is his enemy. He owns a British football team where fans regularly fight in the stands. So all of that being said, Mark Attanasio was not, and by the way, Craig Counsell, not only, did he leave, but Craig Counsell, as you'd expect, was trying to take Brewers coaches and trying to do, the things that you would expect someone would do when they leave, right? So Mark Attanasio, the last thing he wanted to do was play a video and tribute Craig Counsell in any way. So I give Mark Attanasio a ton of credit because it took him a long time to come to that conclusion. It was not something he initially, through the pain of the breakup, was going to do, but I think it was an incredibly classy move and a great job by Mark Attanasio playing that video at American Family. Because, by the way, it's not like, some video guy decided to do it or some executive. That video is not being played unless Mark Attanasio is basically hitting play on the button.
Right, but if we just said that we think it was a calculated move, it's not as altruistic as you're making it seem.
No, because that
was Mark's call. I think I like Mark a little bit more right now.
Do you know what I'm saying, Craig? Like, we think it was calculated to give the fan base a moment to go ahead and get their frustrations out.
Yep, and whether that was part of what he knew would happen or not, it showed a lot of class to be able to do that, because I don't think that was easy given the pain and the difficulty emotionally of having someone who's that close to you then on the other side for the Chicago Cubs. So whether he was hoping or knew that would happen, you got to give him a lot of credit for actually playing that video.
But, go back to Brett, and if Aaron came here, why are you booing him? You didn't want him anymore. he didn't want to stop playing football. What the hell did you boo him for? Why doesn't the organization? Because if Aaron came back here, Gabe, there'd be a percentage that booed him.
Sure.
Right?
But,
Why? Why?
But Brett got
You
booed.
didn't want him anymore.
But Brett got booed.
Because he manipulated his way to Minnesota.
Correct.
Who cares? You're not good enough to play
I do,
for you.
because you want to stick it to me. And he made this, like, the Brett's a little more
I'm just saying,
complicated because Brett retired. Brett gave them the out.
franchises held to the same standard as the players.
Because fans aren't
They
logical.
never are.
Fans aren't logical.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
They never are, and I think
that's
and the far
that's what you
thing,
wanted from me. We're not logical,
Yeah.
Chew. We don't
and
think
the far
rationally.
thing is what Gabe said is right. I mean, he was very intentionally not just trying to leave Green Bay, but trying to become a Minnesota Viking.
He
And it
was
took him a
not
few
trying
years.
to leave. No, you're wrong there. He wasn't trying to leave Green Bay. He wanted to come back, and they showed him the
No,
door.
he did not.
Do you?
He did not. I mean,
I had spies in the room.
Right, but as did I. And what he did was he said he was retired, and they gave him a date, and they were like, "You got to tell us you're coming back, and if you're telling us after this date, we're going to move on." And he just wanted to show that he was tougher than them. So the date passed. They told Aaron Rodgers he's going to be the starting quarterback. Then Brett came back and said, "Hey, I want to come back now." And they
But
had
you
told
don't
him,
want
like,
him.
once
But you don't want him. But you don't want him.
Well, so what? Could he have come back week 8? Like they had set a date and they followed through on what their commitment was. Brett knew what the plan was, and he obviously decided to wait until after the date to tell them that he was ready to play.
Are you trying to tell me, Chew, you wouldn't understand why people booed Aaron Rodgers if he was back at Lambeau Field?
I get it. And the problem is this. We don't know the whole story. You know, we think we do, but we don't. Like the whole Brett thing, you don't know.
Sounds like you might know some stuff.
I know what went down. I know how it went down. And I agree with you, Craig. There was a date that they set, and he came past it. But eventually, you didn't want him on your team. So is he supposed to retire? They tried to bribe him.
Well, 100% they tried to bribe him.
They tried to bribe him.
But then they traded him to New York.
Sure.
And everybody was fine with him in New York. And then he decided, I wanted to stick it to the Packers. And the unintended consequence of wanting to stick it to the Packers franchise is, guess who else you're sticking it to? Packers fans.
Yeah.
So
if Aaron wins, hold on. If Aaron wins a Super Bowl this year, do we have a right to be mad at him?
I will bet.
No.
Whatever amount of money you want to bet.
They can't win the Super Bowl.
They're not winning the Super Bowl.
But I'm just saying, if they did.
Gabe feels very strongly about this. I prompted him on this the other day, and I said, what makes you think they can't win the Super Bowl? I said, Aaron Rodgers, he always comes back, especially
Gabe
from...
thought the Bucs were beating
Yeah, you ever
Indiana
heard of Tom
in
Brady?
4. Okay.
I thought Giannis was coming back.
Yeah, that's true. That is the great equalizer.
Dude, I'm with you, Jen. Gabe, how are you so convinced? Like, Zach Wilson was terrible, and they won 7 games. Like, if Aaron Rodgers is an above-average quarterback, which is certainly feasible, 2 years removed from back-to-back MVP years, like, why can't they win?
So there's a number of things going on there, Craig. A, the Jets are a bleep show. The fact that they're trying to replace Nathaniel Hackett without replacing Nathaniel Hackett, like there are clearly things going on behind the scenes that make them a pretty dysfunctional organization. And then Aaron being the biggest hypocrite in the world and then trying to defend himself with hey, we got to be more serious about winning.
Get rid of the
We got to get rid of
distractions.
distractions. If it has nothing to do with winning, why are we doing it? And then doing a lot of things that had nothing to do with winning this
that's right.
offseason.
Yep. Gabe, you're right. I actually just looked at the stats. No hypocrite has ever won a championship.
Well, no, but I don't
that
think
really works against you in a big spot.
I don't think that he's dedicated to winning, Craig. He's going against his own words. I don't think he's dedicated to winning. I think he's 40 years old, coming off an Achilles injury. He wasn't broken even before the broken thumb. It's not like he was playing great with the Packers before he broke his thumb in his last full, healthy games that we saw. He's a couple of years removed from his best football. I just don't think that they're in a position to succeed. I think that division's tougher than everybody thinks, and I don't think the Jets are even making the playoffs.
I think that's a tough division.
Oh my God,
we have that on the record.
Yeah, we need to clip this for Jets Twitter. This is. I feel like Aaron just hearing that clip might make him the MVP this year.
Last thing I have for you this morning, Craig. I got a little notification in my inbox last week that said, get ready. The ACT is right around the corner, and it is, in fact, next Saturday. Next Saturday, I will be marching my little booty down to a local high school, sitting in a chair with my number 2 pencils all sharpened and ready to go to take the ACT, which is, of course, my punishment for losing. What was it, 2 years ago now? Was it 2 years ago that I lost? So I just wanted to let you know that we are getting closer to me following through with losing the bet, paying off the bet of me taking the ACT. And I just wanted to make sure that I understood all of your rules and regulations for me taking the ACT. I am not allowed to just go down and go C on the Scantron.
If you get a 24 or worse, you got to take it again.
What the hell?
Yeah. I couldn't get a 24 when I was flipping 20 years old.
Chewy took it twice and couldn't add up to a 24.
Good point. Craig, one more question for you while we're talking ACT. We had a company-wide meeting yesterday, right?
Yes.
Did you call me out because you were like the teacher that didn't think I did my homework in the beginning of the meeting in front of everyone?
No, I was just for all the people who were not in person. I just wanted to see if you could hear me on the mic. So I just happened to see that you were one of the people there.
Told ya.
So
Such a lie. He's a liar.
So I was just
He's a
trying
liar.
to confirm if,
because he thinks I just turn it on to whatever it is with my phone and then I walk away. Right?
Never would have considered that.
Never would have considered that.
To be fair, when he commented on you, your big old face just popped up out of nowhere. So for him to react to, oh, there's Chewy, I don't think is that crazy.
How many people were doing it virtually, though?
Was your face the right orientation?
There were only like 5 people doing it virtually.
My face wasn't
and there
on
were like
there.
70 people in person. Yeah, and then you put your face on. You were like driving in a Jeep and like clearly like with the top down and not
like the
able
guy
to hear anything.
who zoomed into his. You saw that, right, Craig? The guy who zoomed into his court date. He had a suspended license.
For a suspended license.
And the judge was like, "Are you in a car? Are you driving a car?" He was like, "Hold on a minute, I'm pulling into the parking spot." The judge was beside himself. He was like, "I can't believe that just happened."
I did see the guy who said he was not a cat, though. That guy can't watch without laughing.
That was very good. You should do one of those calls with us, those all company calls, and you should just put the cat filter on.
And just be like, I am not a cat.
All right, Craig, we appreciate
I was going to say
But
something.
also, Cat did get eliminated in 5 last night. And do we like the fact that there's like 2 weeks before the NBA Finals?
I don't like it. It's too long.
Not great.
Too long. Because now I want to turn my attention to baseball full time.
Right. Like, is it really like, because we're worried that like Jim Gaffigan was like scheduled to be in like an arena in Dallas? Like, I mean, I know they have to coordinate like these buildings and they're really busy, but I just have to think there's a better way than this.
Why can't every other series is mobile? Like, these are pretty big series, the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, and they're mobile as to when they start. Why can't they be a little bit more mobile with the finals?
You mean fluid? Like,
I mean, hockey's the same way. Hockey's moving, but I don't get it because it's not like it's like one venue that everyone's booked their flights for years. And like, it's just, I really don't get it. So, but either way, I actually think it's probably better. It allows players to rest and heal because it is such a grueling postseason with best of 7 series. So I guess it's a positive. But,
great. So we'll all get to see Kristaps Porzingis in the finals. Wonderful. And great job on the cat segue there, by the way, going from the cat video to cat Karl Anthony Towns. All right, Craig, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Just wanted to make sure I got you off schedule since you were so good on schedule. See you.
Yeah. What a jackwagon. If you love sports betting, you need to make your way to the Sportsbook at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. It has everything a sports fanatic could want and more. I loved listening to the afternoon show KBN yesterday coming live from Potawatomi's Sportsbook because it's such a great spot. A video wall over 2,000 square feet. The kitchen, that's their new restaurant. It's got a VIP deck that you can rent out, a broadcast booth, a first-class bar, and seating for over 200 people. So if you want to watch those games that we were just talking about a few moments ago, no matter matter what your favorite sport is, you can do it at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. The new era of sports betting is here at Potawatomi, so get in on the action.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
It started with a prediction.
Gonna go out there and play basketball and win. And how many games? 6.
It became the culture.
Chance of Bucks in 6.
Being a Bucks fan means you live and breathe Bucks in 6. Brandon Jennings created the prophecy. Tune into Behind the Bucks, the story of Brandon Jennings on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
That's for the culture.
Free is key during Craftsman Days at Lowe's. Right now, get one free Select V20 tool when you buy a Select Battery 2-pack. Plus, get your choice of a V20 drill or impact driver kit for $69. Don't miss your chance to save on the high-quality, high-performance tools you need during Craftsman Days. Because Lowe's knows tools. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 6/19 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Because comfort keeps us going. So grab your family, your friends, and your Wrangler layers for some fresh air adventures together. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
The biggest names in the basketball world.
Dame Dollar Lillard.
Having fun and honest conversations.
He puts it in the shoe, right? And sets the tone for brothers and sisters and family.
Every week, Thanasis Adetokounmpo sits down with special guests on The Analysis Show. Presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel and curbless, ready-to-drink cocktails.
Fantastic.
Find The Analysis Show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And on YouTube by searching The Analysis Show.
Are you ready to start a meaningful career in healthcare? Are you looking for a job that fits your work-life balance? Become a certified direct care professional today and make life better for older adults or people with a disability. WIS Caregiver Careers makes it easy. With free online training plus earn a $500 bonus. See your name on Wisconsin's Certified Direct Care Registry. Sign up today at wiscaregivercdcp.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. It's racing season at the legendary Great Lakes Dragaway, and our schedule of events is ready. We've still got our yearly holiday weekend races like Labor Day weekend, plus Nitrous Streetcar Brawl, Import Wars, and Night of Fire. You can also book corporate and private events. Take advantage of our season-long passes and even schedule a time to take your car down the legendary quarter mile. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com for pricing and info. Great Lakes Dragaway, just a burnout west of I-94 on County KR. Be there.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tosher here for my friends at Kohler Services. If you need a bath or shower remodel, turn to Kohler Services. Family-owned business for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. And this month only, get $1,000 off and 0% interest for 12 months on your Lugstone shower remodel. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Look, you take Jesus and the presents out, and it's not even in the top 10.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you take sex out of the anniversary, then that's not that fun either.
On 94.5 ESPN.
It started with a whisper, and now it's when I kissed her, and then she made my lips hurt. I can hear the chit-chat. Take me to your love shack.
Shout out to everybody watching on the YouTube stream who's getting a nice shot of Chewy's legs. It's just his thigh to his, there it is.
I have a hater contract. I don't have to work the last segment before every break.
You're dictating your usage?
Talk
Good
to my
grief.
agent. Keeps me fresh for the start of the hour.
It is just his legs. That's all you can see on the stream. His knees are lining up perfectly with the microphone. All right, guys, get your dial-in fingers ready. 800-990-3776. It is time for us to give away 2 tickets to Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg will be performing at Potawatomi Amplified. That's a new concert series kicking off at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Legendary rap, film, and media icon Snoop Dogg will be performing on June 15th, and here is your chance. We will take the 4th caller right now at 800-990-3776. The 4th caller wins 2 tickets to Snoop Dogg at Potawatomi Casino Hotel's new concert series, Potawatomi Amplified. Call us now.
Well, we do have some delays along northbound 43 from Fond du Lac Avenue all the way up past Keefe. Southbound's just a bit tight past Capitol Drive down to Keefe. Westbound 94, watch for delays from about 25th Street to Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound slowing down just a bit from 68th Street through the Stadium Interchange as well. Traffic is brought to you by 2 Men and a Junk Truck. Have unwanted clutter or junk? Go to 2menandajuncktruck.com for a free, no obligation estimate. Keep what you love, ditch what you don't. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, mostly sunny with a high, clouds filtering the sunshine. A high of 74 at the lake, 78 inland. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 57. Weather's brought to you by Higher Love Cannabis Company. Find your Higher Love today, only 59 miles from Green Bay. Find higherlove.com/CBD. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
We all know breakfast is an important part of your day, but sometimes when you're traveling for business, you end up staying at a hotel that doesn't offer any. You know what happens? You grab a cup of coffee and skip the meal entirely. We've all been there. But if you book a room at La Quinta by Wyndham, you can enjoy their free Bright Side breakfast featuring delicious baked goods, fruit, eggs, yogurt, and waffles. And really, who doesn't want to start their day with a fresh hot waffle? Tonight, La Quinta, tomorrow you shine. Book direct at lq.com.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune in to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman every day from 2 to 5. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Showtime. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
And you know that not a book will be cracked on field day. That's what my kids are doing
Yeah,
today.
it's a little stressful, though.
I don't think we have finished with my inbox.
What's Scott's tights?
Has it really been 10 years? A local businessman pledges college tuition to third graders.
Please explain.
I'm
It's stressful from the standpoint of like, God, I hope I made it to the next grade. See what I'm saying?
No.
Michael, why did you promise that?
To change lives?
No, Michael, why would you promise that?
You know, okay.
A
I'd
day
say
in my life.
3rd, 4th, 5th that crossed my mind.
In 4th grade, you were worried about making it to 5th?
Yeah.
I fell in love with these kids, so I made them a promise. I told them that if they graduated from high school, I would pay for their college education. I've made some empty promises in my life, but hands down, that was the most generous.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamora. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look.
It has certainly been a nice little stretch here for the Milwaukee Brewers, taking 2 out of 3 against Boston, taking 3 out of 4 against the Chicago Cubs. Now they face the Chicago White Sox. And Brewers in a great spot in the standings as well. You know, the longer that they can stay atop the division, obviously that is good. They are 5 games ahead of St. Louis, Cubs dropping down to 5.5 games back. But we were listening to some sound from Jeff Passan in the first hour of the show, who was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and they were talking specifically about the Pittsburgh Pirates because they've got this exciting young player, kid out of LSU, Paul Skeens is his name, and Pat McAfee was asking, like, how long can we expect him to be in a Pirates uniform? And Passan was saying, like, as long as they want to pay him. And then Passan had this to say about small market baseball teams and the narrative that they are the have-nots versus the haves in Major League Baseball.
Anytime that somebody stays with a small market team for the entirety of his career, like, goodbye me. Not just goodbye me because I'm someone who grew up in Cleveland and lives in Kansas City now, but I understand the disparity in sports between the large market and the small market teams. And the fans in smaller markets sometimes feel like the big business of sports is conspiring against them. So when Bobby Witt Jr. went out and signed a 12-year, almost $300 million contract to remain with the Kansas City Royals this offseason, it's like, hey, by the way, these small market teams can pay guys. If they don't, it's just because they chose not to.
So Christian Yelich comes to mind, obviously, for Brewers fans, because he signed that team-friendly deal not that long ago to stay with the Milwaukee Brewers when there were thoughts that he would go elsewhere. It has sort of worked out. Gabe, you always say anyone would have given Christian Yelich that deal. He obviously has dealt with injuries since then, but seems to be regaining some of that MVP form. But I think about a guy like Willy Adames. We obviously have the Corbin Burns. We obviously have the Josh Haders, guys who are the best at what they did, and the awards show it. And the Brewers just chose not to pay them, chose not to keep them around. So now you got a guy in Willy Adames, who I think a lot of people should be excited about, are excited about. He is one of the best players at the shortstop position. You can probably find, 9 guys around the league who are definitively better than him, but he obviously has his moments. Sophia was talking to us earlier this week about how Willie could have 3 more home runs in his tally this year because he's just been robbed at the wall. But Willy Adames is a free agent after this year. Gabe, should I start preparing myself for the likelihood that Willy Adames will not be in a Brewers uniform after this season?
Well, you shouldn't start preparing yourself. It's just a fact. I doubt he's going to be in a Brewers uniform at the end of the season. It's part of the reason why they, as part of one of the trades they made this offseason, got Jory Ortiz, because he's going to be the shortstop of the future. Made a great play at third base yesterday afternoon. He's going to slide over to shortstop.
And the day before,
That's what's going to happen there.
What is Passan saying, though? I mean, because anybody can pay anyone, but it's the matter of, do you go into the red or the black, whatever the bad one is?
So it's always the red.
The best.
Remember your papers back in school? We talk about the red marks.
So can they do it without going in the red?
No.
Then what the hell is he talking about?
Because
businessmen do not want to go into the red.
Yeah, do they want to win World Series and championships or not?
No, not if they're in the red.
But
I'm sorry, they don't.
But sports teams aren't a cash flow business. They're an equity business.
And we always talk about a vanity business, honestly.
Yes.
It's a vanity project.
It's an equity business. And Craig talked about this with the Bucs owners. The Bucs owners lose a bunch of money year over year. But we just saw one of the owners who bought in, and I can't remember what percentage it was, but bought in when they bought the team at $550 million. And then we just saw Mark Lazary say, deuces, I'm out. Somebody can buy me out. They bought him out, and the team was evaluated at what, $2.5 billion?
Which is smart. He had a huge return on his investment.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's what it's not a year over year. Yeah, you may lose some money from time to time, but you're getting the money in the long run when you sell the franchise, because the evaluations just continue to skyrocket. It wasn't even a decade ago that they bought the team, and he got back 5 times his investment.
Yeah, but okay. In regards to the Bucs, though. Fast forward to when Giannis isn't here anymore. Probably going to be a huge dip. Probably not going to be a top 10 team in the NBA.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you waited out, Lazary did it perfectly. They're close to their height. Dump it and move on.
But the franchise evaluation won't go down, is the point.
You don't think so with Giannis?
No, because they've got the arena. They're locked into the arena. All of the things to make the money are there.
So you're saying go in the red now because you're going to make it up when you sell the team in 15 years.
Correct.
I get it.
For context here, Mark Adanasio bought the Brewers for $223 million. They are now valued at $1.61 billion. So for Gabe to say, well, yeah, you're going to lose some money, but you would have to lose money for decades for that not to pay off. It would have to be 50 years of losing money before you made it out not in the positive.
I guess what was the difference, Gabe, for Christian Yelich versus some of these other players who we have felt, the fans have felt, would be valuable or would have been beneficial to hold on to? What was the difference there? Just that he was willing to take a team-friendly deal?
Well, it wasn't even necessarily team-friendly, but typically the way that Atanasio and the Brewers have operated is they'll pay one guy. One guy, big-time money for a long-term deal. It's what we went through back in the early 2010s. You had Prince Fielder, you had Ryan Braun. Had to make a decision. Ultimately, the team decided that it was going to be Ryan Braun who got the big contract. He did. Prince eventually left after the 2011 season as a free agent. The Brewers have historically decided one guy.
But it hasn't worked. And again, I know you can sit here and say, relatively speaking, they have been more successful over the last decade than they have ever been in the history of the franchise. I get it. But at the end of the day, you're not getting rewarded for playoff appearances. You get rewarded. The juice is there when you win the World Series. And having those high-end elite players, it's what puts you in a better position to win. It feels like Atanasio and the Brewers ownership group is spinning a roulette wheel. And they keep hoping to land on the smallest sliver because they have a decent team, a good team, but you need everything to go right. You need this upstart young group of plucky guys to shock the world in order to make it happen.
But wouldn't the counter argument to that be, well, yeah, but it's kind of what the Dodgers are doing. The Mets stink. Spending money doesn't guarantee success.
No, because you have to be a good evaluator of talent as well.
Look at the Padres. But
then they did a fire sale.
Is this the same issue that got Herb Cole run out of owning the Bucs? Because he wouldn't spend money?
Did they ever have top-tier talent, though, before Giannis?
Ray Allen.
Yeah, Ray Allen and Big Dog. I mean, that was a pretty good team.
But they broke that team up.
Yes.
Eventually. And that was the mistake.
Because they didn't want to pay him.
Well, they traded Ray Allen because George Karl was kind of scared that Ray Allen was more powerful than him. So George is like, hey, we got to get Ray out of here. And that obviously blew up in their face. So, I mean, because in the NBA, especially at that time in the NBA, you still had a pretty hard salary cap versus what it is now. And it's kind of a soft salary cap. But, but that's the way that Atanasio is going to run the team. I don't think he's going to change. Hasn't changed in how many ever years that he's owned the team.
So to bring it back to Willy Adames, you don't think there's any chance that they figure out a way to keep him?
Maybe
and if they choose not to keep him, should we be preparing ourselves for them to trade him before the trade? Should we be prepared to only have a month or two left of Willy Adames?
No, they're not going to trade him before the deadline. They'll just let him walk away in free agency, and if he signs a big-time deal, they'll get a compensatory pick because that's something that's been factored into baseball. I mean, right now, Willie is the 10th highest-paid shortstop in baseball. His arbitration number this year was $12,250,000. There's a big jump, though, between him and 9, which is Trevor Story, at $22.5 million.
Who's hurt?
I was going to say.
But if Willie wants Trevor Story money, then yes, he's gone. If he's looking for $16 million per year, maybe they work something out. Especially because Willie's a little bit older. Maybe they sign him to a shorter 2-3 year deal. He sticks around for a little bit longer. But if he's searching for, to climb up that top 10 leaderboard, I don't think the Brewers.
So you're saying if this is his MO, then you want a new owner?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
If you're a fan.
Because it seems like because Craig mentioned the soccer team he's invested in. He's part of the strategic sports group that just poured a bunch of money into the PGA Tour and professional golf. It seems like instead of having some of the money from his other business ventures and pouring it back into the Brewers, he's taking that money, spending it elsewhere. And he'd rather have the extra $10 million for Willy Adames next year if he wants $22 million, and he wants that cash flow going elsewhere.
What's caused me to become disillusioned as a Brewers fan is the fact that I don't expect Mark Atanasio to be spending $300 million or even losing money every single year. It just seems that the past 4 or 5 years, the Brewers were in a unique situation that is very, very difficult for even the highest spending teams.
And enviable, right? They were in an enviable position.
The starting pitching was as good as anybody's. They had great relievers, and they had a few position players that were guys that were top of the line. What the Brewers failed to do was invest more and to go all in on those teams to give themselves a better chance at becoming a World Series team.
I just want to get this clear, Gabe. So if this is his MO, right, why do you blame Counsell to go into the Cubs?
Oh, because he's like, oh, hey, I'm one of you. And then you go and again, go to the Mets, man. Go anywhere else. Literally go anywhere else. But you decided to go to the rival. So you get booed when you come back. When you're trying to embrace yourself with me, you come into my house and you tell me, hey, I'm one of you guys.
So this is the Brett thing. You were fine with Brett going to the Jets, fine, but 100%. When he went to Minnesota, he 100%. Crossed the line.
And as we kind of learned when it comes to counts, this was something that was on his mind for a long time. He brought it up this week, and it kind of went unnoticed. But when he brought up David Stearns' name, he's like, yeah, when David left, you start thinking about it. Oh, so you've been thinking about this for a year and a half. This wasn't just a last 6 months thing. You decided to leave the Brewers and move on.
I also think, like Gabe and I can recognize, we are being a tad irrational because we understand that Council's leaving for a situation that you could easily say is better and is more money. But the fact that he was supposed to be the homegrown kid, the guy with all the loyalty to us, and has left, that's really it. Like, I don't think Gabe holds any, like I don't. He got more money. We get it. That's simple thing.
You want to be a legend at the bank.
Yeah.
And again, it's what we talk about all the time. It's what anybody would do. They would do what is in the best interest of their family, what is in the best interest of their bank account. They would do what is in the best interest of their career. It's just, you don't like the optics of it, essentially. You don't like the fact that it was the Cubs and its rival, although it seems to be working out pretty good, and I will continue to bang this drum. The only way that Pat Murphy is the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers right now is if Craig Counsell brings him in when he got the job and he becomes his bench coach.
And you want to talk about buying in, Chew? You talked about how you guys bought into Holmgren. Mm-hmm. This team has very clearly bought into the brand of baseball that Pat Murphy wants to play. Yeah. And he was on display yesterday with them taking extra bases, being
I love it.
Uber aggressive on the base paths.
Love it.
It's a fun brand of baseball to watch.
But that's the issue, and I think that's where we're getting a little bit sideways on this thing. I went to the ballpark the other night. I had a freaking blast at the ballpark. Got to sit right behind the Cubs dugout. Great energy. You're right there close to the action. It was a fantastic time. So I think you can convince yourself as a fan that on a nightly basis, you're having fun. Teams winning more games than they're losing. This is enjoyable. But then at the end of the season, whether the team is in a position to go to the playoffs or not, you have to have that reality check with yourself of like, they haven't done the things, i.e. spend the money, in order to be a viable or realistic threat to win a World Series. Therefore, did I have fun? Yeah, I had fun. Are we having any fun? Yes, I had fun this season, and that for me needs to be the metric with which I gauge the success of the season.
But also baseball's weird, wild, and wacky. Who represented the National League in the World Series last year? And how much money did they spend?
Diamondbacks.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
And not a lot.
So you want another CC?
I'd take another CC.
Yeah.
I think I had a CC in Corbin Burns, but...
Okay.
He's saying CC Sabathia, not CC as in Craig Counsell.
Yeah, I understand that.
Did you blame her yesterday?
No,
What's going on here?
Well, no, CC was even better than Burns.
Of course.
CC was...
Yeah.
That guy, you want to talk about people doing things that they know should have never done. Yeah, he should have never taken the ball as often as he did going into a contract
but
year.
He knew what it meant to the franchise.
Like,
he knew what it meant to the fan base to get to the postseason after that lengthy drought.
Give me the ball.
Yeah.
That was great.
800-990-3776. I do want to go out to the phone lines. Howard has been waiting patiently on the line and wanted to weigh in on what Jeff Passan said on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. I think Passan was right and wrong. Right in that small market teams can pay, wrong in that they can pay a player, and that investment has to work out. The big teams make mistakes all the time and spend huge amounts of money on people that don't produce, and they can buy a bunch of them. A small market team has a smaller revenue. That's how a market is defined. And nobody should be expected to lose money, though it's nice if they are willing to do that. I can't tell Antanasio, I love the Brewers. You go lose $200 million so I can cheer for a champion.
Yeah, but he's not really losing $200 million because the evaluation's probably going up by at least that much, right?
Okay, Gabe, you just bought a house, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That house will appreciate in value.
Correct.
Does that help you before you sell the house?
Are you buying groceries with the equity? I think is what he's saying.
Well, no, but if you're rich enough, like if you're rich enough to own one of these sports franchises, which is one of the most exclusive groups to be in, if you have that type of money, you got the money to lose a couple of bucks here and there.
Yeah, you can lose some.
But they don't look at it like that. Trust me, they don't look at it like that. They run lean.
So many of the teams do though, man. And that's the point. And that's the point that Jeff Passan was making. Is the point that Craig made?
Yeah, no.
Like the Bucks are losing hand over fist every year, but they know they're getting the money back in the end.
Yeah.
Like me owning a house isn't the same as Mark Lazary owning a franchise. Like he's owning a franchise because it seemed like it was something fun to do. I own a house because I need a roof over my head.
Howard, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. And that is the weird space that we exist in as Brewers fans. That is the weird space of, I know they're never going to spend big bucks, which is why the Willie Adames thing seems very timely. He's been fantastic. He's exciting to watch. He fits in so well with that clubhouse, which, by the way, we heard when he came over from Tampa Bay, right? That was the book on him. That was the narrative. He's a great clubhouse guy. Fans are going to love him. Well, we do. And now I don't want to see another guy hit free agency, and it's just shrug, not staying. Brewers can't pay him. Brewers don't want to pay him. Shrug. Sorry, Willie. Thanks for the memories. 800-990-3776 if you want to weigh in on this conversation. Lots of folks popping off on the ESPN Milwaukee talk and text line. We roll on right after this.
Change the way you do business. Take more control with the payment process with Fifth Third Bank's Treasury Management Solutions. Their market expertise and managed services streamline the entire payment process and integrate with your existing systems, giving you more control than ever. With their suite of payment solutions, you will soon recognize new revenue sources that can save time, offset operating costs, and improve the bottom line, all customized for you and your business. Fifth Third Bank, National Association, custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
We're looking pretty good right now. Still a little bit tight northbound 43 right on the North Avenue curve up to Keefe. Westbound 894 slowing from 27th Street to about 68th Street through that construction zone. And then on westbound 94, 35th Street to Mitchell Boulevard is where we're seeing those delays. Traffic is brought to you by Dave & Buster's Power Lunch. From 11 to 2, get an entree and 30 minutes of unlimited gameplay for only $14.99. Dave & Buster's, get a full plate of fun. And check the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today, mostly sunny with some high clouds filtering that sunshine with a high of 74 at the lake, 78 inland. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 57. Weather's brought to you by National Liquor Mart at 16th and National in Milwaukee. Packed with the best beer, liquor, seltzer, and spirit deals in town. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, where your satisfaction is their plan of action. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
You've probably heard about employee stock ownership plans before, but what separates Fifth Third Bank from others when it comes to these plans? A succession plan that benefits business owners and employees. Full and partial sales, second stage transactions, repurchase obligation financing, and seller note refinancing, ESOPs can offer tax advantages, increased liquidity, employee incentives, and overall diversification of net worth to help your company plan for the future. Fifth Third Bank, National Association, custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Grab tickets to any Brewers game now. Next up, it's a can't-miss homestand against the Cubs and the White Sox the week of May 27th through June 2nd. Open up a new chapter of the I-94 rivalry May 27th through the 30th as the Brewers take on the Cubs. Then join Happy Days theme night for a Bronze Fonz bobblehead at the game on Friday, May 31st. Get in on a big week of Brewers action now at brewers.com/tickets.
This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman getting you ready for summer with Carbless. Ready to drink vodka and tequila cocktails that are handcrafted right here in Wisconsin. Carbless is my go-to refreshing drink, whether it's hanging out inside watching TV or spending time on the patio grilling. Plus, it's perfect to take to the lake or to a brewer's tailgate. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 0 gluten, and just 100 calories. Try flavors like pineapple, cranberry, and black cherry, or classic cocktail flavors like Paloma or my favorite, margarita. Find Carbless online or in your local retailer. Less is more this summer with Carbless.
Get ready to go all in for cash battles at Potawatomi. This June, go head-to-head with your fellow club members for a chance at your share of $200,000 in cash. Play with your club card for entries. Hourly drawings on June 6th and 20th from 4 to 8 p.m. Each drawing, 2 winners split $20,000. Cash battles at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. It's the biggest cash bash of the summer. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Homer here to tell you about Rawhide Youth Services. Co-founded in 1965 by Bart and Cherry Starr, Rawhide is a faith-based nonprofit that helps thousands of youth every year, many right here in Milwaukee, overcome trauma, suicidal thoughts, and live better lives. For youth who are hurting, who feel lost or abandoned, and families feeling powerless to help them, Rawhide is there to help. They also need vehicle donations to support their mission of helping hurting youth transform their future. Donate to Rawhide Youth Services. Visit rawhide.org/donate.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Excuse me. Hold on. Getting choked up over it. So, hold on. Give me a moment.
On 94.5 ESPN.
But I'm thinking it's time for a change. Get out of your lane.
Whether you're a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you are planning to visit our great city of Milwaukee, you can enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. The hotel is ideally located in the heart of the theater district in downtown Milwaukee. It's got deluxe accommodations, it's got culinary creativity, it's got on-site art galleries. That's right, art galleries right there at the hotel, and nightly live music. So you'll enjoy every element of your stay, and you can book rooms starting as low as $129 a night. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com. That's stkatearts.com.
One that you can deny. You need a ton of luck and hype on your side.
Do we need big-time, well-known former quarterbacks pumping up Jordan Love? I think not. I don't think we're at this point anymore as a Packers fan base where we need people telling us that Jordan Love is good, or that Jordan Love can be good, or that Jordan Love is the future of the franchise, or that the way that the Packers did things with Jordan Love seems to have been the best way.
Not even the GOAT. I bet Jordan Love loved it.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's a very good point. Sometimes you just want somebody of Tom Brady's ilk to know that you exist. Right?
Yeah.
Let alone say that you're doing good things. So Tom Brady was talking. He was on Fox yesterday, which he will be on much more. As you know, he is now the #1 analyst for the Fox football package, joining Kevin Burkhardt and Aaron Andrews and Tom Rinaldi on Fox's #1 NFL package the upcoming season. So he's making the rounds, basically. I think they're trying to get him as much practice doing TV and talking ball as possible. So yesterday, Tom Brady had this to say about Jordan Love and the Packers' development of their franchise quarterback.
Some of these teams, and you look at Jordan Love, who I was watching some of those clips that you had on before I came on, but he had Aaron Rodgers to watch. That's the best type of training, in my opinion. Watch someone else do it at a very high level and then try to emulate them with your own personality. Maybe a little bit of the misnomer with the draft is that these players can come in and all of a sudden become this great professional player before they've really had the training and the development.
No. No, because Chew, the Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love situation was such a unicorn. Where else are you able to duplicate that? It's like when we talk about the 49ers guys and we talk about how they have been able to spend all the money on all of these other positions because they got 0.03% of their salary cap going towards the quarterback in Brock Purdy. Good luck trying to duplicate that. If that's your blueprint for success, you're going to have a real tough time nailing down the exact situation where your situation matches their situation. And I feel that that's similar with Aaron Rodgers being a multiple-time MVP, being one of the best to ever do it, to drafting Jordan Love in 2020, the turmoil that caused, the malcontent that created, and then it working out that Jordan Love is the future of this team.
And it's kind of funny seeing as how Tom Brady kind of forced his Jordan Love out of New England when the Patriots were trying
when they tried to do what the Packers did
with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's like, no, I'm staying here.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Hey, Robert, how about you just trade Jimmy G and trade him on the cheap?
So it's very unusual, I think, Chew, that Tom Brady is sitting here banging this drum of this is how you should do it, when it's very unlikely that a team is going to find itself in a position to be able to mimic that plan.
So you weren't big on Atlanta drafting Penix when they had Cousins there? Because he's obviously going to sit for at least 2 years, right?
At least, yes.
I think it's a huge benefit, especially for the quarterback position, because you have to know so much, and you got to be able to react so quick. And Josh, you brought up a great point, because I was ready to start my third year, and I think they had me penciled into starting, but then I pulled my hamstring. But I also had the benefit of playing 15 plays a game, dip my toe in the water. And I did. I benefited from having Eddie West there. Now, I didn't benefit so much from Jackie Harris, but
some guys
Eddie
are good,
West,
some guys are bad.
If you have a guy that's willing to teach you the ropes and how it's done and how to, because you can draw up plays, right? Draw up a pretty play. You run the quarter, you run the go, you go in the flat. It doesn't always work out that way, Most times it works out a little different.
Turns out there's a defense there.
Written up on paper.
So I think I want to be clear on this, Chew, because do I think that it can be a recipe for success?
Yeah.
I do. I just don't think it happens enough. I don't think that the variables line up enough. The situation is like this enough for it to be a viable option for most franchises, Gabe.
100%. Because the Packers, like Jordan Love happened to be there, and maybe they almost drafted Drew Lock the year before. And who knows how that works out? My guess is not very well. Right? So a lot of these guys end up flopping anyway. Some of it's their fault, some of it's not.
Yeah, but
a lot of these guys when they're drafted into the league as first round picks, like they have to play.
But just think of how many quarterbacks they destroy by playing him as a rookie.
Sure, but let's take the Minnesota Vikings for example. Is J.J. McCarthy really going to learn that much behind Sam Darnold?
He'll learn some.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he'll learn some. He won't learn a ton.
So how much is it worth for him to sit for 6-8 games and then he plays the second half of the season? And that's the other thing with the quarterback position is it's just so rare because the quarterback's not coming off the field. Like you said with tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, you can cycle them in and out.
Rotate in.
So many different positions in the NFL. You can have those guys like the Packers did with Lucas Van Ness last year. Hey, we can have you kind of dip your toe in the water, play a handful of snaps, put you in very specific situations to try to give you success, but then take you on and off the field. You're not doing that with your quarterback.
So you
can't
guys
do that
aren't
with the
a proponent of take the Kansas City Chiefs, right, and put Patrick Mahomes in year, let's say 13. They just won the Super Bowl. Next year, you have a problem with them drafting a quarterback that next year?
Not at all. And I'm glad that we're nailing this down because I do not have a problem with them. I have been the person who said that Goody did the right thing by trying to also draft for the future, by recognizing that Rodgers was at the end of his rope or coming around the home stretch of his career and saying, we got to have a plan in place for when this thing goes sideways or when the wheels fall off. I have said that is how it should be handled. What I'm saying is Mahomes, Rodgers, that might be the list of having a Hall of Fame, a future Hall of Fame, top tier, unicorn guy at the position. And it's also about the demeanor, right? It's also about whether or not the demeanor of the incumbent and the demeanor of the guy who was drafted, if they're willing to actually learn or if they get antsy in that position. If Favre, who famously did not want to mentor Aaron Rodgers, is your guy, if your guy that's in there is more like Favre, it's not going to work.
Totally agree. Yes. But look at Chicago. I mean, they're going on their third guy who really is going to learn from nobody.
Correct.
You had Trubisky. Who'd he learn from? Nobody.
Yep.
Fields? Nobody.
Well, I mean,
and now you got Caleb Williams. They think he's going to be great, but I'm leaning more towards, it's the Bears will screw it up.
The last time a Bears quarterback could have learned from anyone was Sid Luckman.
Yeah.
Right? So their line of quarterback history is a little bit different. But, I mean, the thing is...
You can learn a lot of ambivalence from Jay Cutler, though.
There was Jay Cutler, though.
Learn how to smoke a cigarette.
Care.
Yeah.
But to Jen's point, yes. And most of the time when you have yourself with that quarterback, the way that the Saints did, I mean, the Saints are still paying repercussions from trying to go all in and try to leverage that Hall of Fame quarterback as much as they possibly could.
Ron in the Key weighing in, and I appreciate this insight from our friend Ron in the Key, saying the Packers didn't draft Jordan Love intending for him to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. Please stop saying that was their strategy. They, and I, to be fair, thought Aaron Rodgers was done, but you can't move on when he wins an MVP. So Ron is saying they actually fell into this thing working out as opposed to strategizing it in this way, which again, I think takes even more away from what Brady is saying.
I mean,
he wasn't done.
No, but they also kind of fell into Aaron Rodgers when they drafted Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Because he fell so far down the board.
And the Aaron Rodgers smoke about being unhappy had already started by that time.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. We put it back to Jordan Love, but his unhappiness thing predates that. So that was an insurance policy. They knew they had control of Aaron Rodgers. It was either he retires or he's a Green Bay Packer.
And I still always say, and I know that there are people who disagree with me on this, but you cannot quantify what the drafting of Jordan Love did for the evolution and the continued success of Aaron Rodgers. Right? He's a guy who has been motivated by slights. Yes. He's a guy who's been motivated by criticism. He's a guy who's been motivated by, you don't believe in me, his entire career. So when you go out and get his replacement, I still think that deserves some credit for elevating him to that next level.
That's why you don't want to take back that they're not winning a Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah, I'll bet you any amount of money you want, big guy. They ain't winning a Super Bowl.
I'll take playoffs.
They might sneak into the playoffs. I mean, they're better than Jen's Miami Dolphins, but...
I feel very confident about the Dolphins. Did you see yesterday they signed Waddle to that big deal?
Yeah.
Tua's next.
Cool.
Waddle is very good. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, but Tua's not.
That's what he keeps saying.
He's fine. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's sub Kirk Cousins.
I'd rather have Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Same.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
At 46 years old. Okay, fair. Fine.
He's not as mobile. Yeah, he's not as mobile, sure, but at least he's not going to underthrow your wide open receiver 30 yards down the field.
We'll see. We'll see.
One thing we all agree on for sure, though, is Palermo's Pizza and how great it is. There's so many different brands underneath that Palermo's umbrella. We're talking about Palermo's Urban Pie, Connie's Surfer Boy Pizza, Screamin' Sicilian, so many great different flavors, so many great different tastes. You want to make sure that your freezer is always stocked at all times, especially now that we're in the summer. You're going to be going out, you're going to be doing things with the family, going to get back, oh man, I don't really want to make a meal, but I still want something that tastes great. That's where Palermo's comes in. They've been doing this for over 60 years right here in Wisconsin. So find them in your grocer's frozen food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Never miss out on a second of the show. Find Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand. Sponsored by Celsius Essential Energy Drink.
We got a broken down vehicle on 94 in Racine County, right about at Highway K on the southbound side. The right lane is partially blocked. It's a broken down vehicle. They almost made it out of traffic, didn't quite make it. Westbound 894 backed up from about 27th Street all the way to 68th. Northbound 43 slowing right around North Avenue up to Keefe. Traffic is brought to you by the club at Lac La Belle. The historic course is open to the public 7 days a week. Schedule your tee time at club@laclabelle.com. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today, mostly sunny skies with the high clouds filtering the sunshine. A high of 74 at the lake, 78 inland. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 57. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
Eagle Sports Range has an unbeatable offer on concealed carry license classes. For just $49, enroll in their 3-hour class led by expert instructors prioritizing safety. Learn laws, techniques, and mindset for responsible carrying. Stick around for an optional hour of range time with instructors included in the package. Practice under professional guidance and gain confidence. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day at 2525 East Layton Avenue in Cudahy. Secure your spot at eaglesportsrange.com. Eagle Sports Range, where safety meets skill.
In Wisconsin, bicycles are legal and intended users of the road. We remind drivers to share the road and make sure to slow down and give at least 3 feet when passing a person biking. Let's make sure everyone, no matter their mode of travel, gets home safely. Learn more at wisconsinbikefed.org.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here, and there is one thing I think everyone can agree on. Potholes stink. And this year's weather will make it one of the worst years yet. Well, Johnson & Sons Paving is ready to take on the challenge with a team that has over 2 decades of experience. When the potholes pop up in your asphalt, Johnson & Sons Paving can patch or replace the whole area. Book an appointment now at johnsonsonspaving.com. Get that appointment booked before May 31st, and you might even see Old T on the job site for a visit. Find full contest details at ESPNWisconsinContest.com.
Something amazing is happening here. AI is increasing workloads on CPUs and GPUs. But this company's laptops are more than keeping pace. That's because CDW worked with them to future-proof their laptop fleet by configuring them with devices enabled with AMD Ryzen AI. Improve performance and free up resources with AMD Ryzen and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/AMD client.
I need directions for paying down debt.
Starting route. Apply for a SoFi personal loan and consolidate your debt into one fixed payment. Turn right into a positive outlook and get $5,000 to $100,000 as soon as the same day you sign with no fees required.
Got it. You could get out of high-interest credit card debt with a SoFi personal loan. View your rate at SoFi.com/debt in 60 seconds with no impact to your credit score. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A. Member FDIC. Terms and conditions at SoFi.com/debt. NMLS 696891.
You're back at the gym. Your new gym outfit? On point. Your new sneakers? Baller. You've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with Access Checking. It's maintenance fee-free with no minimum balance requirements. So when you take your first yoga class in 10 months, your body might surprise you, but your checking account won't. You've got this with Access Checking from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
His eyeball.
Wait.
Where do I get him?
I just assumed when I said wait, did you just think it was just a suggestion?
Yeah, pretty much. Typically.
On 94.5 ESPN.
I fell for the devil's daughter. I jumped in, yeah, I drank the water. Tell me, doctor, can you fix my brain? Cause everyone that says I'm insane, help me loosen this.
A weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend. Tune in to Here District with Marcus Johnson, Bucks Plus audio production. Marcus and his son Chris, a 1995 UCLA hoops champ himself, talk about everything happening in the Bucks world, and they're joined by some of the biggest names in basketball. Plus, they'll answer your questions too. Stay on the beat of the Bucks and find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I will be very honest here. I have a love-hate relationship with the self-checkout lanes at stores. On one hand, I love the efficiency. I love that if I have a basket full of things, I don't have to wait in line. I can go there and boop, 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 boop my way through it. What I don't like is when it yells at me, and I do mean yell, right? Because they have this tone, and then if they don't think you've put your baggage or your item in the baggage area, they get very shrill. The machine will be like, place your item in the baggage area. Like, whoa!
Put the lotion in the basket.
Whoa! And most of the time I already have. It just hasn't had the sensor. The sensor hasn't worked and hasn't recognized that I have put the item, in fact, in the baggage area. So then the light goes off and they're like, an associate is on their way. So now you're waiting for an associate to come from the back of the store, which is where they were stocking shelves because they don't staff people at the front of the store anymore. And then the efficiency part has flown out the window. So I do have a love-hate relationship with the self-checkout option. Sounds like a few of the stores here in Milwaukee are getting rid of self-checkout altogether. Is that a good thing, Gabe, or a bad thing?
I think ultimately it's probably a good thing. I would prefer to go through a line. I would prefer to go ahead and have somebody else check, throw my things into a bag when I'm at the grocery store, but that's never an option for me. I swear, because if I go grocery shopping on the weekend, it's going to be pretty early because I'm usually up pretty early. So I'm there at like 6:30 in the morning and there's nobody there. The only option for me in my week's worth of groceries is the self-checkout line. And then I get over like 30 in it. And then someone's got to come over. Well, you're over 30. Here you go. So you can keep bagging. I have no other option. I have to do the self-checkout. I don't like doing the self-checkout. I'd rather go through the regular checkout line, but it's never an option. Nobody's ever there whatever time you go.
Do you think it's a shoplifting thing?
It's a staffing thing for starters, right? I don't think that places have enough staff.
But I mean, it's not setting off, let's say you forgot to zoom the avocado or whatever. It's not setting off an alarm when you're leaving the store, correctly?
No, it's just people aren't scanning everything. So first of all, it was brought to us as a staffing issue. It happened a lot during COVID. That's kind of where we saw the pivot for every grocery store, where they went to basically They've got like one line open of a person and then the rest is all self-checkout. But I would gather with less people up front, there are more people taking advantage of the fact that they're not watching everything.
And I understand that the scale has to be very sensitive because some of the stuff, if you throw a box of Band-Aids, boop, into the thing, well, good luck identifying that box of Band-Aids that weighs a gram or whatever it is, so like it has to be very sensitive. But too often I will have been going through the routine, dropping the stuff in the bag, and it'll back me up a couple of items. Now the 2 things I have scanned since then didn't get scanned because the machine was catching up because it didn't feel the weight of whatever I supposedly just scanned go into the bag, and we're back at the beginning. I will tell you this. There's one place I refuse to use the self-checkout, and that is Costco, okay? We buy a lot of stuff at Costco. We got a big family. We buy in bulk. It's very convenient for us. But my husband came to Costco with me the other day, and that crazy son of a gun rolled up into the self-checkout line with a cart full of Costco things. And I was like, what are you doing? We don't self-checkout at Costco. These people are experts for a reason. They stack the boxes. They put the things in. They know where the fruit goes and where the meat goes. We don't self-checkout at Costco. So it sounds like self-checkout. We self-checkouted at Costco.
How'd it go?
Yes.
Chaos?
Yeah, it took forever. Took a long time. It was chaos, yes. And also, my credit card didn't work, so that was another. And of course, the guy was like, have you paid your bill? I was like, I always pay the bill immediately. I use the card so we get the points, the rewards. Oh, it turned out they had sent me a new card. It was sitting right there in my wallet next to the old card that I was trying to scan over and over again. So user error is what we would call that, folks. And user error is probably a lot what goes wrong with the self-checkout. I'm torn on this RIP, if I'm being honest.
Plus, I mean, it's easier to probably, walk out with a lot of things if you really wanted to. Because some of the bigger items, if you go to the grocery store, scan them, just put it in your cart because you don't want to put it on there, like a soda, or if you're getting a case of water or whatever.
Well, you can gun that stuff.
You could, but also you could just, not check it, put all your bags on top of it.
Yeah, but they're
places
checking
aren't like,
you on the way out the door, though.
Costco, yes.
Costco does.
Costco does.
Yeah,
most other places do not.
Do not.
And that's my guess is ultimately
I think
they're getting rid of this because it's probably costing them money from people just shoplifting
and
things.
I think that's why Walmart has gone, because I don't know. I know in Florida they have a checker there too, like Costco, because I think they were losing a lot of money to
Well,
to
probably
shoplifting.
because the checker's always scrolling through TikTok. You ever see the checker standing there? They're supposed to be watching the self-checkout lanes, and they're just scrolling through their feed. That's probably part of the reason why people feel comfortable stealing. Look, we're not promoting stealing. We're not saying like you should take advantage of the loophole that self-checkouts provide. But I'm torn because there are times when it is more when it is more convenient, right? There are times if you're a competent person. Here's an idea for you. What if you made people go through a licensing step where you have to get a license to use the self-checkout, right?
Wait, now I got to go through just to get my damn groceries?
Yeah, but one time. You get one time.
No, it takes long enough for me to just staff someone.
But there is a certain skill set required to use the self-checkout. Am I right, Joshy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't use it.
There's people you get behind and you're like, I could be here all day. I think the perfect way to fix this is what it was originally intended for. It was for people with a few items who just wanted to get in and out. You got 10 items or less, 12 items or less. If you have less than that, happily use the self-checkout because it's way easier to manage. If you have a cart full of stuff, you got to go see somebody. But that requires proper staffing. So, like, if this pick and save franchises think they can do that and accommodate people, I'm all for it. Take it back to how it was. It worked. For a long time.
For a very long time. Decades and decades and decades.
And the self-checkout worked.
I think it's very simple, Chew. People like options. I like walking to the edge of the store when I'm about to check out, seeing that there are a couple of aisles that have actual human beings scanning stuff across, asking my kids if they want the sticker. Are you having a good day? Did you find everything you need? Making the small talk pleasantries. And also, if that doesn't work for me today, having the option of zipping through the self-checkout lane and hopefully getting to my car quicker. And I think if you offer those options, I feel like more people will walk out happy with their shopping experience. Fair or unfair?
I'm old school. Like, I always had a problem with, I never cook my steak at prime quarter because I don't go out to eat to cook my own food. It's like there. I don't want to bag my own groceries, I want to go to my buddy Dan at Syndex, who's like, He knows I'm going to be there at 11:02 every day.
I was about to say, so as somebody who goes to the grocery store every day,
yes,
like you're not getting a cart full of things. Very rarely are you getting a cart full of things because you go all the time.
I don't like the little carry-on thing with wheels. It's too difficult for me.
Not the shopping cart, the other thing, the little basket.
The shopping basket with
that
wheels.
has the wheels on it?
Yeah.
You're
not
too
a fan.
tall for that, I think.
I know.
Unless they have an extender on it.
Yes.
You're way too tall for the basket.
Yeah.
Why don't you just carry it, Muscles?
I could do that.
Yeah, but it's just right after his workouts. He's a little
that's
tired.
a lot of
But
work.
he's got all those muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
those
my
are-
weed whacker.
Whoa. Jen,
Why
those are
can't-
for show. Those aren't supposed to be functional at this point.
They're for show, not for go. Not for toe. Oh, so
Tall
close.
people are so discriminated against. It's like my weed whacker, you know? I gotta like crouch down in a catcher stance to whack weeds. You can't make one with an extended pole so I can stand up straight, damn it.
For like the 6 former NFLers who are out there whacking their own weeds.
Yes.
If we were to take 2 classes here, and it's the advantages of being 6'4" or taller, and the disadvantages.
More disadvantages.
Oh,
there is way more. Ashy, help me out here. Ash, way more.
Ashton, help me out. He like calls out like, Clarence! Clarence!
This is crazy. Taller people have better
Your tall
jobs.
guardian
more
angel
success.
is Ashton.
Pollution, it's much more polluted at 6'6" than it is at 5'10", let me tell you.
Oh, you pollute yourself.
I have before.
So many folks weighing in with their reaction to the self-checkout RIP. There are some stores in Milwaukee that are getting rid of the self-checkout option. Apparently, they think it will make the shopping experience more pleasant for their customers. We'll get to some of that reaction right after this on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
And Gabe and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN.
Hey, it's Jen Latta. I'm joined by Sarah Neubauer from Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Have you heard the news? The legendary and iconic Snoop Dogg is coming to Milwaukee in just a few weeks. Sarah, tell us all about this new concert series.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg is coming to Potawatomi, and he will be the first concert to kick off Potawatomi Amplified on June 15th. Snoop hasn't performed in Milwaukee since 2019, so we're really excited to have him back and to kickstart our series, which, again, is happening on June 15th.
Okay, so I know you guys got rid of the Northern Lights Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Where is all of this taking place at the casino?
Our summer concert series, aka Potawatomi Amplified, will be taking place just west of the casino as an outdoor concert venue.
Ooh, an outdoor concert. This sounds amazing. Where can people get tickets?
Tickets are available now, and just head to our website, paysbig.com, and we're only selling about 4,000 tickets, so make sure to get yours while you can.
Sounds like it's going to be a show for the ages. Can't wait to see who else will be announced as your July and August headliners. And speaking of summer, Cream City Coffee Company at Potawatomi has a new summer menu.
Yeah, it sounds so delicious. Starting on June 4th, you'll have the chance to start trying these beverages and pastries. So new on the menu is a soy vanilla green tea latte, a berries and cream or peaches and cream frappe, a shaken brown sugar oat milk iced latte, peach lemonade, and a peach ice green tea.
And you guys always have a few cocktail items on the menu as well. New to the menu is a rum chata cold brew and a coffee margarita.
We do. That margarita, it sounds a little intriguing, doesn't it? We also have the most delicious pastries, all freshly made every morning by our state-of-the-art in-house pastry kitchen. We have a brown sugar peach galette, cinnamon sugar morning bun, cinnamon swirl coffee cake, peach cake pops, and if you're looking for a savory treat, new on the menu is a tomato feta Danish.
Okay, now my mouth is watering, and I cannot wait to try some of these the next time I am over at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. As always, Sarah, where can everyone go to learn more?
Paysbig.com.
It's paysbig.com.
2 guys drove to work. Neither guy wore a seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. The same 2 guys drove home. One guy wore his seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. The guy not wearing his seatbelt didn't. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
At Progressive, we know money can't buy happiness. But money did buy your boat, where you find peace fishing, unlike at home with 3 teenage daughters. Because fish never argue about who stole whose crop top, or get mad the other fish used up all the hot water. No, they just swim around, never embarrassed to be seen with you in public. So save money by bundling your boat or RV insurance with home or auto from Progressive. And buy more happiness, or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Summer with Saz's. Wonton-wrapped mozzarella sticks, refreshing craft cocktails, crispy sour cream and chive fries, barbecue pulled pork sandwiches, you name it, they've got it. Saz's Date House has been a Milwaukee staple for almost 50 years. So grab your friends and come experience the finest for yourself. Join them on their outdoor patio or pull up a seat at Saz's famous Round Bar. Complimentary shuttles are ready to take you to games and concerts at AmFam Field, located at 55th and State. Learn more at saz's.com.
You're listening to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
What do we do? Where do we go from here?
We've talked about insulation, we've talked about fantasy camp, and now we've talked about Burning Man. We've hit for the cycle in the first 5 minutes of the show.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Join former NBA stars and Marquette basketball alumni Dwayne Wade and Travis Diener as they return to Milwaukee this summer for Wade versus Diener Champions for Literacy. Golf alongside the stars at North Shore Country Club in Mequon on June 17th, a day full of fun, food, and events, and good golf, all while helping local youth literacy projects. If golf isn't for you, check out the Tee-Off Party. That's June 15th at Pilot Project. You can learn more by going to wadedienergala.givesmart.com. That's wadedienergala.givesmart.com.
Save me.
Lots of reaction rolling in on our conversation about self-checkouts. We are putting it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll as well, which is that some grocery stores are removing the option for self-checkout. Are you a fan of self-checkout at stores? I am a fan. I like the option of using self-checkout when my own personal situation warrants it. But there are times when I like someone else scanning the groceries and having a conversation. And Costco is the one place I refuse to do self-checkout because there's too many things and they're too big. Reaction rolling in. Jacob says, it drives me nuts at the self-checkout if you're buying ammunition, sporting goods, knives, or spray paint. You have to have somebody look at your license.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. That's.
I think we should keep that.
Yeah. If we're gonna have a vote, I'm gonna vote to keep that in place.
The alcohol
look at your
thing,
license.
To take it a little different, the alcohol thing can be an annoyance if it's really busy and your only option is self-checkout.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait for someone to come up and it's like, I didn't even want to be here. I would have just checked out with the person in the alcohol part of the store if they were there.
There have been times where I've decided to not buy the alcohol to throw in the fridge at home just because I'm like, I don't need somebody coming up and just checking the ID. That's just, I want to get out of here as quickly as possible.
Alan weighing in saying, I work a couple nights at a grocery store and I'm not going to lie. The only customers we see that hate self-checkout are the idiots. Just saying.
For those listening, Chewy slowly raised his hand.
He says there is a Sky Judge camera watching from above to see if you properly swiped an item. Kroger's is adding self-checkout carts with the scanner attached to the cart. So you can just scan as you pull it off the shelf, drop it into your bags, which are in the carts. The carts are weighted so they know what has been scanned and put in the bags. And
Best of luck to you to go grocery shopping with small children who just love throwing things into the cart.
Or eating things, right? Like string cheese or smoothies or my girls will open up a pack of strawberries and just start eating them.
You're a eat at the grocery store family?
I am not. Family. I was going to say I am not an eat at the grocery store, but I have two little bosses that if they're hungry at the grocery store, I'll stave off a temper tantrum by giving them some of the food. Yes. All right. Thanks for hanging out with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this week. Wilde and Tosh is next on ESPN Milwaukee. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will be with you again on Monday. Hey, this is your cue to call, 800-990-3776. We are giving away one more pair of Snoop Dogg tickets today. Call us at 800-990-3776 right now to win those Snoop Dogg tickets at Potawatomi Amplified, I believe.